Joining us is the crew from the Conway Scenic Railroad. David and Derek are here, and Pierce is also here this morning. Good morning, Pierce. How are you?
Good.
Good. You got the hat and everything. You look great. And as do David and Derek. How are you guys today?
We're doing absolutely fabulous. How about yourself?
Oh, can't complain at all. It's fall.
Yes.
And it's train season. It's always train season, but especially in the fall, it kind of takes on a new twist.
Yeah, it's people come from far and wide to enjoy the Conway Scenic in the fall because the fall colors are truly impressive in the White Mountains here, and when you're especially up on the side of the mountain looking down on them, it makes it that much more special.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've got numerous trains running. You're still daily operations.
Yeah, we're still in daily operations through the end of the month, and a lot of our trains are sold out. So it's a beautiful thing at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the Pumpkin Patch Express.
Yeah, that's a very popular event. We've actually done some additions to it. We've done some plussing, as you might want to say. And we had our first day yesterday, and it was truly special to see all the young families coming out and enjoying the patch itself. But also, we have a collection of vintage vehicles, so that way there was a lot of picture take opportunity for everybody. So it was really a beautiful thing.
That's a lot of fun. It's just something kind of, what's fun about that trip too is that you get to ride in the train, but then you get to get out of the train, then you get to get back in the train and ride. I mean, I know it's silly getting on and off a train, but I like that experience.
People have commented. Oh, sorry. People have commented to us that they've gone to other tourist railroads that have short rides because the trip to Conway is only 55 minutes round trip if we would just head out and back. But they comment to us. They're like, "Boy, it's really nice that we were able to get out and look at something and take pictures of the engines." And as Dave was saying, we have so many other photo opportunities down there: vintage and antique vehicles, tractors, the pumpkin patch itself. People are just able to enjoy and relax and wander around. And so what we did this year, we run those trains as extra trains, meaning they're not as held to as strict a timetable.
Yep.
So families can enjoy themselves. And when it's time to go, we have the best notification system around. One long blast on the horn, and people know it's like, whoop, that's us, and they start heading back to the train. So it's a really great time down there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, as you said, you've got daily trains through the end of the month.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, daily notch trains and valley trains, and the notch train is like stepping back in time. Experiencing that transcontinental railroading experience, but instead of a week or two, you're doing it in about 5.5 hours.
Right.
So
and an amazing trip. I mean, we were just talking about Frankenstein Cliff, so Frankenstein Trestle, and then of course getting up there and hugging the side of the mountain as you do when you get up through Crawford Notch in the train is an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, it really is, and we're very, very fortunate that all these train activities start from our 1874 railroad facilities, and it's really a jewel in the community because a lot of these places were torn down over the years.
Absolutely.
And we're so fortunate to have our facilities there and to be able to share these facilities with guests from all over the world.
It's very cool, very exciting. Now, Derek, you are the operations manager, and you've been there for 9 years.
Yep.
So you've ridden a few trains.
I have. I have. When I started out, I learned from some of the greatest folks there at the railroad. When I first came on board, I was hired as a seasonal narrator in the parlor car, the Gertrude Emma, working in the valley, telling all our visitors, this is Split Rock, and this is the Saco River, and over there's Mount Washington. And I really just loved it, and I tried to work everywhere that I could. I did track, I did ticket sales. I've worked pretty much every department we had there. And when Dave and Rhonda came on board, it just made me feel like I knew these guys and I knew what we were capable of, but I knew we could do so much more. So I feel like we've meshed together really well and bringing the new ideas as well as bringing the high quality service we already are known for. I mean, 9-car trains going up the notch. That's not a small feat. If anybody's been to our yard, they know, boy, there's only so much track. It's like garages and rail yards. You can never build them big enough.
Right.
You think, oh, this is plenty of space. And then you start putting a couple of cars and engines in there and you're like, oh man, we could really use some more space. So they're shuffling cars this morning too, just before we came over here, because we had a very successful murder mystery dinner train departure last night up to Frankenstein Trestle. And for those of you viewers that don't know about it, it's that's not the name change for the holiday season. It's always been called Frankenstein Trestle. It just fits very well in October.
Absolutely.
But the crew cleared up, and now this morning the yard guys are coming in. They're making up the new train. They're getting it ready for the day. 3 pumpkin patch trains, 9 cars up the hill. it's a lot of fun. I feel very fortunate to work with the great group of guys and gals that I have there. It really is a family.
Absolutely.
You know, we have our dysfunctional moments, but
Yeah.
you show me a family that doesn't, and I'll show you, well, that's not really a family.
Right. Well, you say the 9 cars plus a pump gas. So how many cars are there?
So in the fleet right now, there's 15 in-service passenger cars, and 2 of those are open-air cars, which are extremely popular. We're starting to lose the popularity of them right now as the cooler weather sets on. But these open cars, you know, they have no windows to the side, and they just offer these great sweeping panoramic views.
Absolutely.
We do get people at this point of the year, they're on the platform, and they see the train being brought onto the platform, and they'll point or they'll tug at someone and be like, do we have tickets in that one? And they're pointing at the open car. It's like, nope, that's just an added bonus. We're plussing it. Anybody can join us. And we have folks that ride the Notch train in the upper dome, which is our premier seating on the plexiglass bubble on the roof of the train, 24 seats up there, that for part of the trip will go downstairs and walk all the way back to the coach section to ride in the open car because they want to experience that and get that fresh mountain air and really just take it all in, because it's about as close to getting off the train while it's still moving as you can get.
Absolutely.
And people really, really enjoy that. And we're moving, you know, we're moving past peak now up there, of course. I live over in Berlin. I drive through Pinkham Notch, and I try to keep my eyes on what's going on in Crawford. Don't let the fact that the leaves are coming down upset you as a rider, I always say, because now we're in stick season. And stick season is great because you get up there at the height of land and you look off the train and you can see for miles
Absolutely.
around. And it's a totally different experience too. And all my time riding up there, my favorite times were to go when there was a big storm coming through. And you really get to appreciate that you're small on the mountainside and the feats that took to build that railroad.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the fun things, like I said, when you're up there and you're hugging the side of the mountain, and the fact that that was even built and that it was built so long ago. It's not something that was constructed with the technology that we have now. This was built, when was that trestle built? 100 years ago? 100 plus years ago? I don't know the exact date. But
100 plus for the bulk of it. And,
yeah.
And, you know, when you look at the historical photos, there's actually one great one just outside the studio here. First one was made of wood, of course.
Yeah.
And it wasn't pressure treated lumber or anything. It's they cut down trees from the job site and said, let's start putting this together. We're going to make a trestle. And you know, I've gone up to the Frankenstein trestle many times, and I've been standing at the bottom of it, and I look up at the current metal structure, and I'm standing there, and I'm like this, and I'm like, wow, who thought this was a good idea when they first came to this chasm? And it's like, well, we're going to put a bridge across this. You know, and we've had other times where Army Corps of Engineers and other surveying experts have come up periodically and looked over the lay of the land. And even with our modern technology, they look at it and they're like, you know what? They got it right. We can't find a better route that you could really correct for the crossing. I mean, this is it. This is the best spot. And they figured out with very basic and what we would consider primitive technology. It's really incredible. That's half of it. The natural beauty and then just the rugged environment that they've worked in.
Absolutely.
Just incredible stories from it.
That's great. It's so much fun. You know, I'm a big train aficionado anyway, so riding a train and that element of train lore is amazing. And I think that's, you know, part of the experience of being able to ride the train. Now, of course, December's coming up, so you're going to have a bunch of trains in December.
Absolutely. So we've got a couple of train offerings. We've got Santa's Holiday Express, which is a good way to get out and meet Santa and his elves and enjoy a few beverages, and that's going down towards Conway.
Yeah.
And then we also have the Journey to the North Pole. And it's kind of a long ride, but through the
it's a magical journey. It's
exactly.
amazing how quick it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Through the magic of Christmas, and it takes you right there. And when you think about all the families that enjoy these events, and these become holiday traditions for them.
Absolutely.
And it's really touching to me to go be a part of this and to support this going into the future.
Absolutely, a lot of fun. And riding a train in the snow, I remember a few years ago going on one, and it was a snowy, blustery day. There weren't a lot of people on the train, which was a lot of fun for us. And it was just an amazing experience to be able to do that. And the fact that you can do that you can be like, hey, it's a snowy, blustery day, but I can still ride on the train, or be out there in the fall and ride on the train. It's really a neat opportunity.
Absolutely.
Now, if people want to get some more information, what's the best way for them to do it?
ConwayScenic.com. So all of our train offerings are there. You can actually book from a smartphone if you have one in your hand, and life will be good.
And of course, you can always swing into the train station, which you should do anyway. If you're in North Conway Village, you should definitely swing into the train station, even if you don't have time for a train ride today. Check out the station. An unbelievable experience just looking around in there, plus a lot of the memorabilia and the model trains that are in there. It's an amazing spot and a lot of history.
For sure. Think about 1874 facility, still functioning every day. It's pretty special.
Doing what it was designed to do.
Absolutely.
It's a very humbling thing. I've walked up and down that platform many times at night, locking up. It's quiet, it's dark, nobody else around, and I just stop for a moment and I look, there's the train sitting there that I know will move. It's not static, it's going to leave later. And I'm just like, man, I am so lucky to be here. It's sometimes you just have to stop and think about it. Same feeling like when you wind the tower clock, knowing that all those people on the main street that look over at that building to know the exact time. I mean, yeah, you can pull your cell phone out, but there's something about looking at a clock face and appreciating, oh, we're late, we got to get going.
And you have to wind out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more.
That's
stuff.
an E. Howard clock. That's the original one of the station. It's a 7-day clock.
Wow.
Once every 7 days. We're a little more diligent on it because we'd hate for it to slip our mind on day 7.
Right.
And it stall out on us. But yeah, that's a fantastic little piece of the job.
Oh, that's
and Paul
terrific.
Hallett always took a lot of pride in it. And that was one of the things he told me. He's like, wind that clock. It really takes you back.
Yeah, that's great. Well, David, Derek, Pierce, thanks so much for coming down today.
Thanks for having
And
me.
letting us know. So definitely check out conwayscenic.com and get all the information you need. And head on down. There's a whole bunch of trains this weekend. And we'll be back here in a minute on White Mountains Today.